50 years, we've been stuck with the same old lightsaber look. And that's got me thinking, what if we could just break out of that little box and make them look as cool as we wanted? But we're gonna do just that in this video. Through the combination of realistic choreography, cutting-edge camera tech, and brand new visual effects techniques, we're gonna reinvent the lightsaber. The lightsaber, a classic weapon.
Elegant weapon for a more civilized day.
The concept of an energy sword has existed beyond just a lightsaber. It's not something that's specific just to Star Wars. And if you look at Star Wars, I feel like there's been a lot of stagnation in the idea of an energy sword. If you look at what a fight scene is supposed to mean, two human beings dueling to the death, it's intense emotions. It should be the height of storytelling. But oftentimes, lightsabers end up being showy, flashy, acrobatic displays. Hollywood has been an issue here where they get scared of reinventing things. And so, we've taken it upon ourselves to see if we can reinvent the lightsaber. Through reapproaching choreography to changing how we would approach visual effects, I think we can make an energy sword that feels more visceral, more real, and perhaps more dramatic than the classic lightsaber from Star Wars. We're going to shoot a little cinematic short film about a school that teaches sword dueling. We want you to feel the life and death drama of this sword fight, which means shooting things smooth and cinematically. No handheld shaky footage here. However, we don't have expensive equipment or a big crew, so we're gonna be using the new Ronin 4D from DJI to get this done. So can we improve on lightsaber duels from Star Wars? Well, follow along with us here and you'll see a finished short film at the end of this piece, and you can be the judge. So let's start with probably the most important thing, the choreography. We've reached out to our good friend, Luke LaFontaine, who is a sword expert. You might remember on a React episode a long time ago, the first time Luke joined us, he went on a little rant about lightsaber fights.
Do you ever notice when these guys all swing really hard and they make these power swings, the blade's made out of light? It doesn't weigh anything. Why would you have to swing it hard?
And so we want to put that into action. We want to actually go out there and make what we think a lightsaber fight should actually look like.
If I had this thing that was plasma, that was burning at 1,000,000 degrees, and I touched you with it, how would you really fight with it? So even though we're in a fantasy-based world, I want dramatic intention and reality, and I want the audience to be scared, and I'm not scared if this guy does a triple backflip and a butterfly twist in the middle of this deadly sword fight where it's like, well, while you're in the air, I'm just gonna cut you in half. How's that? The beginning of this fight is tentative movement. Nobody really wants to commit. The minute you cross blades, it's literally like, well, you can kill me, I can kill you, so let me temper this with a little bit of, oh, I've got to pay attention to my technique and get focused now because this isn't a fist fight. Fist fight, what are you gonna do? You gonna punch me in the face? I got a black eye, you break my nose, who cares? Sword fight? All you gotta do is flinch the wrong way, and I've opened up your forearm, I've taken your hand off. I mean, a lot of the classic Star Wars movies, how many people have lost their hand? These are energy-based weapons. All I'm trying to do is go, move your blade that much, I'm going to cut your forearm and take your hand off. I don't have to do more than that with a lightsaber. Bang, whack. I've cut your hand off, now I cut you down through the body. I win, you lose. Typically, the way sword fights are done in Hollywood, it would look like this. He can very slowly show you how many different times he can hit me while I'm doing that. Pop, there it is, pop, there it is.
Pop, pop.
Both my arms have been cut off more than once.
I'm also noticing there's some footwork in that, as you push in, he's dropping back and keeping his range, so you're very much paying attention to when you're in the kill zone versus not in the kill zone.
If you ask me, what's the most important thing in sword fighting? Distancing. If you as a swordsman could utterly master distancing, you'd never get cut.
The choreography has been nailed down, and now we need to make the camera part of the choreography. So I'm going to be using this camera to figure out camera moves that can accentuate this, make it look cool, get you involved dramatically, but also clearly show the fight. It's my belief that a camera is the third participant in a duel between two people on screen. Because you can always throw the camera on a tripod and throw it in the background, but that's boring. You want to get in there, you want to show the audience something, you want to say something with your cinematography.
So after seeing all that in camera and working out some more character beats into the choreography and getting these cool sweeping shots, I am really excited to shoot this piece.
So for the first time in my life, I got to spend $1,000 in lightsabers.
What? Whoa! What?
So I had to get the brightest, heaviest duty lightsabers they had, and I had to get 2 of each. So back in the day when they did lightsabers, they were just basically painting over the film frame. So the lightsaber itself was just a stick. It didn't shoot any light into the scene. But now in modern times, we have these things called LEDs, which didn't exist back in the 70s. And so now we can make lightsabers that actually emit light. And our material science has gotten advanced enough where the blades don't break as easily.
Who wants to whack a lightsaber?
That's a dream come true. You did it. That's a dream come true.
Alright. Imagine the fight was this. just over and over.
They didn't break.
This is dope. This is really cool.
It seems like there's enough durability in these things. It'll be okay. Cool. These things are sick.
Yeah, they are.
They really are cool. What up, son?
What up, son? Here we are again.
What are you doing here?
Oh, you know, I'm just here to help facilitate, you know. You stand in the background, help people, you know, when they're hurt. Watching these guys fight, you know, watching the skill levels, it's really good. But yeah, it'll be a good time. It's a cool location.
We've already worked out the shot list. Nico's got it in his head. He knows what he's doing. I just got to make sure nobody actually lops anybody in the eye or forgets choreography.
I think this is the first narrative shot on this camera.
Ready? Ooh. Action.
It's been taxing. Just the specificity of everything is really tricky. Luke has very high standards, but it's good, and the choreography makes sense. So in that sense, it's not hard at all. It all flows naturally. It's just like really dialing it in. That's tricky.
So there's like a million things that are cool about this camera, but this little guy, which lets me do dolly shots on my feet, is like one of the coolest parts. So this shot, I'm gonna be nice and low to the ground, and I'm gonna skim along it like this. You notice how the head stays even while I'm bobbling with my feet.
That literally looks like a chicken walking.
That's a chicken right there. There's actually a sonar, I believe, on the bottom that measures the distance. It's basically all the same tech from their drones, but packed into a camera. Having that fourth axis stabilization is pretty insane.
This is probably one of my favorite ways to pull focus. It's so good that sometimes I don't even need to do my job. We just used autofocus, and basically I could just sit here, hang back, eat an orange or something, and just let the camera do pretty much all the work for me. Thanks, DJI, for taking my job.
I'm gonna be getting this crazy single take because this camera is meant to fly, and I'm gonna let it spread its wings because it's about time that we showed off these guys' abilities.
All right, here we go, boys. Whole thing. Don't rush anything. And action.
Nice work, guys.
Nice.
That was great.
That was good.
That's a wrap, guys.
Good job, guys. It was a lot for me to ask you after over 10 hours in the day to do it in a oneer. I really appreciate all you guys' hard work. He's good. He's good.
This was a lot of fun because I share some of Luke's attitudes about movie sword fights. It's very rare to actually get a sword fight that lasts, where it's two characters having a conversation with their weapons. And there's a lot of big battle scenes where people are like, you come in, you swing the sword, you die. It's just great to be able to put a fight together where you can see the story develop. I think realistic sword fights are more exciting than more stylized, exaggerated ones. Obviously, style has its place, but the really good, realistic fights make you sit on the edge of your seat because your body recognizes that that's dangerous.
We tried to show that there is actual, thought and danger and decisions. There's gravitas to everything. With a fight like this, you need that cinematic smoothness. You need that feeling like an omnipotent god looking at his creations. Like I was gliding and flying all over the place. I mean, there's shots I'm getting that would require thousands and thousands of dollars worth of like Steadicam tech and a crew to do. And I'm just like, oh, I'll try this. Like, yeah. Matt basically never biffed focus. Imagine that. Imagine having a LiDAR and you can just use that to pull all your focus. The Ronin 4D is the kind of camera that I wanted since I started making YouTube videos. To me, that is the perfect camera.
How do you reinvent the lightsaber visually? How do you make it look different? How do you make it look better? There's a lot of ways, actually. I've been thinking about this for a long time. Here's how I'm going to try to improve the look of an energy sword. First and foremost, the light, right? They're lightsabers. They give off light. The look of the lightsaber that everybody remembers kind of comes from the prequels, where it's the white core and then the colored fringe. And that's kind of how everybody does fan film lightsabers these days. Because the white core represents parts of the lightsaber being so bright that they're overexposing the camera. And of course, as it fringes off, as it blurs out, you can actually see the color there because the exposure is low enough. The problem is when you move something really fast, the motion blur basically lowers the exposure, and that white core should turn into the color of the lightsaber. But that's not how they do the lightsaber effects. They just draw a big white fan. So I want to approach lightsabers realistically with how they would physically work on camera. So in Star Wars, the lightsabers are either cut out by hand, frame by frame, or they're tracking a CGI blade onto the lightsabers frame by frame. That's very, very time consuming. And you also end up with something that looks artificial because you're adding something artificial to the shot. I needed to come up with a system that was not only faster than the way that they do it for the Star Wars films, but I wanted a system that more accurately reflected what would physically happen if you were filming somebody swinging a laser sword. So here's what I came up with. So as you can see here in the original footage, this is the raw shot here, the lightsabers are actually pretty bright. They give off a lot of light on their own. And the yellow lightsaber is also very saturated and has a lot of color. So through a combination of chroma keying, where I isolate certain colors, and luma keying, where I isolate certain brightness, I'm able to create a mask here that just gives me the lightsabers, as you can see here by the two white sticks. So now I can pass that in to another section that will take the bright parts of the image and raise them even more. And since it's isolated just to where the lightsabers are, it's basically just raising the brightness of the lightsabers. So now that I've upped the brightness of just the lightsabers, I can apply a glow filter to the entire image. And because the lightsabers themselves are the only things in the image that have this brightness, they're the only things that glow. In addition, I can also add something called lens reflection. Boom. So this mimics how light passes through the different glass of the lens and reflects within there and then gets filmed. So by combining the aperture diffraction, which gives me the glow, and the lens reflections, I end up with a realistic looking lightsaber glow that glow as if it was filmed on set, being that bright. Then as the sabers move and they're swung around and they change kind of their hue and brightness, so too does the glow shift, and so too do the reflection shift. Very realistic, and it changes the look from what you're conventionally seeing in a Star Wars film while still maintaining the identifiable look of an energy sword. And it's much, much faster than tracing it all by hand. Thing number two that I'm going to do differently visually. I need to come up with a way to deliver the vibe of this energy sword. What makes it dangerous? So rather than just having them hum and flicker, I want them to feel like they're jets of fire. Weird, like hybrid light and fire put together. And Matt took it and ran with it and did something pretty incredible.
We went in a dark room with a black little piece of foam and a glass of water and a flashlight. All the light refractions that you get from shooting that light through the water gives you a stack of assets, and then just layering those on top of each other additively, adding some extra like jet flame elements in here, gives you this.
See, if this was like an older Star Wars movie, the light that's shining on his hand through the lightsaber there, like that wouldn't be there.
Yeah, just having that practical light here just immerses you in the effect. I'm so happy with it, honestly. It turned out really well.
Number three, if you're doing a fight scene, It's crucial that people follow what's happening in the fight scene, where the strikes are going, how they're being blocked. And I want to enhance it and highlight it and make sure that you can distinctly see what is going on. We have an idea here, and that is to create sparks.
We leaned somewhat on like pre-made stock assets, which are great, but given how dynamic this is and seeing how we see the floor and everything moves in such a realistic way, we wanted to try and generate our own sparks. So what I put together, I went ahead and built a little spark emitter, which basically can be aimed in any direction at any time and will spit out a little celebration of sparks. Basically, all I have to do then is load in a still reference image of the background and line up that little spitter, and we can spit sparks on literally any shot we want to. And it's nice to have the reflections of those sparks and the illumination that those sparks create actually in the scene, because it grounds it so much more. It gives a lot of directionality to the strikes. It really helps lead the eye. It helps you understand what's actually going on in the chaos of this fight.
All right, so we changed up the choreography, created a new visual language for the lightsabers, tried new sound design. It's all done. So after basically 2 years of not shooting anything narrative because of COVID, it's been nice to get out there and actually make some cinema again. Thanks to all of you for watching it. Thanks to DJI for basically making a camera that's the equivalent of what I asked for in my perfect camera video from 2018. It was really fun shooting this video on it.